Have you ever felt a strong urge to turn around and leave the moment you step into a crowded mall or a packed concert? Or maybe you're the friend who always suggests a quiet cafe over a bustling bar. If that sounds like you, you're definitely not alone. A lot of people feel this way, and there's some fascinating psychology behind it. Today, we're diving deep into the minds of those who prefer solitude over crowds. It's not just about being shy or an introvert. The reasons are much more complex and interesting than you might think. We'll explore everything from sensory overload and social anxiety to the unique traits of highly sensitive people, and even how our past experiences shape our present preferences. So, if you've ever wondered why the thought of a crowd makes your skin crawl, or if you're just curious about the human mind, stick around. This one's for you. First, let's talk about the most common reason: introversion. The terms introvert and extrovert were popularized by the psychologist Carl Jung. It's not about being shy or outgoing, but about where you get your energy. Extroverts feel energized by social interactions. They thrive in busy environments. Introverts, on the other hand, recharge their batteries through solitude. For an introvert, being in a crowd is like having your phone unplugged while running a dozen apps. It's draining. All the noise, the small talk, the constant stimulation, it depletes their social energy fast. After a while, they need to retreat to a quiet space to feel like themselves again. It's not that they dislike people. They just prefer more meaningful, one-on-one interactions over the chaotic energy of a large group. Now, let's move on to something that often gets confused with introversion: social anxiety. While an introvert might avoid a crowd because it's tiring, someone with social anxiety avoids it because it's terrifying. Social anxiety is a genuine fear of being judged, scrutinized, or embarrassed in social situations. A crowded place is a minefield of potential judgment. Thoughts like, are people looking at me? What if I say something stupid? Or, I'm so awkward, can run on a loop. This isn't just a fleeting worry. It can trigger real physical symptoms like a racing heart, sweating, and even panic attacks. The fear is so intense that avoiding crowds becomes a coping mechanism, a way to protect themselves from distress. It's important to remember that social anxiety is a treatable condition. And if this sounds like you, talking to a mental health professional can make a world of difference. Another huge factor is sensory overload. Think about what a crowd really is: a bombardment of stimuli. There are hundreds of conversations happening at once, a sea of faces, a mix of smells, people bumping into you. For some individuals, their brains process this sensory information more intensely than others. These are often called highly sensitive people, or HSPs. It's a term coined by psychologist Dr. Elaine Aron. Being an HSP isn't a disorder. It's a personality trait. Their nervous systems are just wired differently. They notice subtleties that others miss, but the downside is that they get overwhelmed easily. A loud, crowded environment can feel like a full-on assault on their senses. The constant barrage of information is too much to process, leading to stress, exhaustion, and a desperate need to escape to a calmer, more predictable setting. Our personal space, or proxemics, also plays a big role. Everyone has an invisible bubble of personal space around them, and we get uncomfortable when people we don't know well intrude on it. The size of this bubble varies from person to person and culture to culture. For some, it's quite large. In a crowd, your personal space is constantly being violated. You're packed in like sardines, shoulder to shoulder with strangers. This can trigger a primal instinctual feeling of being threatened or trapped. Your brain's fight or flight response might kick in, telling you that this situation is unsafe. This isn't a conscious thought. It's a deep-seated reaction. For people who are more sensitive to their personal boundaries, the physical closeness of a crowd is enough to cause significant anxiety and discomfort. Have you ever heard of agoraphobia? It's often misunderstood as simply a fear of open spaces, but it's much more than that. Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by a fear of situations where escape might be difficult or help might not be available if things go wrong. This includes being in crowds, on public transportation, or even just being far from home. A person with agoraphobia might avoid a crowded concert not just because of the people, but because of the fear of having a panic attack and being unable to get out easily. The feeling of being trapped is the core issue. This can be incredibly limiting, causing people to shrink their world down to a few safe places. Like other anxiety disorders, agoraphobia is serious, but with professional support and therapy, people can learn to manage their fears and reclaim their freedom. Past experiences also leave a powerful imprint on our brains. If someone had a negative or traumatic experience in a crowd, it's natural for them to avoid similar situations in the future. This could be anything from getting lost as a child in a busy amusement park to experiencing a public panic attack or witnessing a dangerous event unfold in a large gathering. The brain is incredibly good at learning from fear. It creates a strong association. Crowd equals danger or distress. This is a survival mechanism. The brain says, "Hey, remember that awful thing that happened last time? Let's not do that again." Even if the person logically knows they are safe, the emotional part of their brain can hijack their response, triggering intense fear and an overwhelming urge to avoid crowds at all costs. Sometimes, avoiding crowds isn't about fear or overstimulation at all. It's simply a preference for deeper connection. Think about the quality of interaction you can have in a crowd. It's mostly superficial small talk, shouting over loud music, and fleeting exchanges. For people who value deep, meaningful conversations, this can feel incredibly unfulfilling. They would much rather spend their time with one or two close friends, where they can talk about things that truly matter, listen intently, and form a genuine bond. It's a choice based on values. They prioritize quality over quantity when it comes to social interaction. For them, a quiet evening with a good friend is far more rewarding and enriching than a night out at a packed club. Let's also consider the impact of our modern digital world. We've become accustomed to curating our own environments. We can control the volume on our headphones, choose what to watch on streaming services, and connect with friends through our screens. We have an unprecedented level of control over our sensory input. Compared to this carefully managed digital existence, the real world, especially a crowd, is chaotic and unpredictable. You can't turn down the volume of 100 people talking. You can't filter out the unwanted stimuli. For some, this lack of control can be jarring and undesirable. We've grown so used to our personalized bubbles that the raw, unfiltered experience of a crowd can feel overwhelming and unpleasant. So, as you can see, the reasons people avoid crowds are diverse and deeply personal. It's a spectrum. On one end, you have introverts who just find it draining. In the middle, you have highly sensitive people who get overwhelmed by the sensory input. And on the other end, you have individuals dealing with genuine anxiety disorders like social anxiety or agoraphobia, for whom crowds are a source of intense fear. It's crucial that we approach this with understanding and without judgment. Labeling someone as antisocial or boring for not wanting to go to a party is unfair and misses the point entirely. Everyone is wired differently, and what feels energizing to one person can feel like a nightmare to another. The next time a friend turns down an invitation to a busy event, maybe pause and consider why. Instead of pushing them, perhaps suggest an alternative: a quiet dinner, a walk in the park, or a movie night at home. And if you're the one who avoids crowds, know that it's okay. Understanding the psychology behind your preference can be empowering. It's not a flaw, it's a part of who you are. And if your avoidance is causing you significant distress and limiting your life, please know that help is available. Talking to a therapist or counselor can provide you with tools and strategies to manage your anxiety and navigate the world more comfortably. Respecting our own needs and the needs of others is the first step toward a more compassionate and understanding society. Thanks so much for watching. What are your thoughts on crowds? Are you a crowd lover or a crowd avoider? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content about psychology and human behavior. See you in the next one.